Hi guys, this is Arthur for FlopTurnRiver, and today I'm gonna be starting a new series called Navigating the Bubble. So I've been thinking for a while what would be a good topic to make a new series about, and I think the bubble is just the thing to do it. Many people still play very uncomfortably on the bubble, make a lot of mistakes, always tend to play very tightly if they have a short stack, or sometimes over loosely when they have a big stack. So basically I'll be doing this analysis in the same format as the last series. I'll be taking hands from my 18 and 27 man sit and go hand histories and analyzing them through. So hopefully you'll be able to learn something from that. So this first hand, I think I played pretty badly, but that's what the reviews are for, getting to know your mistakes close and personal. So I make a standard open and get flatted from the small blind by a player who is just a little bit fishy. All 5 stacks are virtually equal, so not many outside factors influencing the hand, either than the facts of the bubble itself. And the flop is horrible and hits the villain's range pretty hard. He checks and I check back, which I consider a good play. He will be calling a ton of c-bets here, so putting any money in here is as good as throwing it away. The turn brings me the nut flush draw and he checks again. Now this is where I made the first mistake by checking back again. I'm not sure why I did that at the time, but this is definitely a bet for several reasons. So reason 1, the guy flatted me out of position and now checked 2 times to me, which means he's weak. The best he can have here is top pair, which he wants to check down because of the bubble, but that's a very small part of his range here. Either way, even if he calls a barrel and on the turn, he will be folding to 2 barrels here very often. Often enough for this to be a very plus EV play. And the second reason is of course the fact that I have 9 outs to the nuts and most likely 6 more live outs. So if he calls the turn bet, there will be a decent amount of times where I won't even have to bluff barrel the river, but actually I'll be value betting it instead. As played though, I did check the turn and the deuce rolled out on the river. He checked again, and as played, this is a standard check back here. He had small connectors and fortunately missed the board. If he bet into me here on the river, I'm not really sure what I would do. I guess it would depend a lot on game dynamics and my general feel for the game at the time. But generally, if he did barrel the river and I couldn't find a particularly good reason to call, I would end up folding this simply because it's too easy for him to have at least some part of this board. So this was a pretty tough situation, and it was close between a fold or a call that I'm still not sure what the best play was. So I'm short stacked again and sitting with 7 big blinds behind. Two guys to my left are pretty short stacked, one of whom is in critical condition. So action folds around to the button and he shoves, and I'm sitting there with ace-9 just hating my life. Ace-9 here is right on the borderline between a call and a fold. I would snap call with ace-10 here, but would most likely fold ace-8. His stats are super aggro and it's pretty obvious that he's shoving a very wide range here, but which ace-9 is ahead of, but it's not that much ahead that I would feel comfortable about it, especially on the bubble with one guy even more short stacked than me. So after a lot of thought, I ended up calling, and fortunately this time I ran into the very bottom of his range. I don't I don't hate his shove here at all though. He knows that both me and the small blind will be folding here a ton, which makes that a very profitable shove for him. Also, even with mediocre hands like ace-9, a shove like this puts me in a very uncomfortable position. And I think I almost folded this hand at one point, but eventually decided that I can't allow him to start bullying around, or that will give him a much bigger advantage over the table than he already has. So yeah, that was, I don't know, maybe that was a good call after all. Now this is quite a common bubble situation where one player is super short stacked with 2 big blinds. A regular opens from under the gun and action folds around to me. Now with king-queen here, this is a pretty standard call, but I think it's worth a call with a very wide range here. The under the gun raiser here probably has a pretty wide range himself, since he knows that the guy in the big blind has only 1 big blind left, so nobody will get involved unless they have a real hand. With that being said, the big blind will likely ship his entire range here and probably won't be that far behind. So by flattening here, I'm not committing much of my stack, and I'm drastically reducing the big blind's equity to survive. Even if I flattened he folds, I can easily get away from the hand on a sketchy flop, and he'll have to mount a comeback from a single big blind, which is much harder to do than if he would to double up on this hand. So I flat the big blinds flats, and the big blinds flats too, basically reducing the chance of him folding to a misclick. So I get a pretty good flop and check, since one of those guys will surely put in a bet. So the guy puts in his last chips and the original raiser calls. Now I'm pretty sure I'm ahead of both of them, but there's no reason to raise, since both of them probably have air here. So better let the original raiser catch something first to get at least some value from him too. The deuce on the turn is a complete brick, so I check again, hoping to induce at least some action from the original raiser. But he shuts down at this point and obviously wants to check it down. The river is another deuce, and I try to get at least a little value from the guy, but he obviously had nothing and folds. The guy in the big blind had top pair, but that just wasn't enough. So yeah, that was the first part of this new series. Hope you guys liked it. Thanks for watching and good luck.